Hi, I want to welcome you all to this recording that's part of a larger series offering mental health and suicide prevention information, support, and resources in response to the global pandemic. My name is Kelsey Schmitz, and I work for the University of Washington at the School Mental Health Assessment Research and Training Center, or SMART Center, as the School Mental Health Lead to the Northwest Mental Health Technology Transfer Center. Our center is located in Seattle, Washington. In response to the critical need for information during and after the global pandemic, a group of organizations based in the Northwest region have quickly formed an alliance to join together to co-develop, co-deliver, co-sponsor, and co-brand content, resources, and other information. In an effort to bring together in one spot a wealth of relevant information and access to school mental health experts, the Northwest MHTTC and the UW Smart Center are partnering with Forefront Suicide Prevention Center, Drs. Jim and Liz Mazza, the Association of Washington School Principals, Northwest Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports Network, Sound Supports, and Well Educator to bring you the Wellbeing Series. If you'd like to learn more about the Wellbeing Series, please visit our Wellbeing Series webpage and learn about the other events that are planned. All the events are free and anyone's welcome to join. If you have any questions, you can reach out to my colleague, Meg and Lucy. As I mentioned, we're part of the National Mental Health Technology Transfer Center Network. This network is funded by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration and includes 10 regional centers, a National American Indian and Alaska Native Center, a National Hispanic and Latino Center, and a network coordinating office. If you're interested in reaching out to the Northwest region, where we support the workforce development of school mental health professionals in Alaska, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, you can find information for how to email us, how to visit our website, sign up for our newsletter, and connect with us on social media. Now we hope that you will join us to go into the living room of Drs. Jim and Liz Mazza with their family as they teach their kids the basics of emotional regulation and specific skills such as mindfulness, distress tolerance, and interpersonal effectiveness, essential skills at any time, but even more critical during COVID-19. We hope you'll tune into this lesson and the other lessons that are scheduled to help your kids and your family reduce conflict and keep this pandemic in perspective. If you're interested, here's the weekly schedule. All lessons will be recorded and posted to YouTube. You can also watch these on YouTube Live by subscribing to the DBT in Schools YouTube page. We also invite you to join us on May 19th and June 16th for a session live with Drs. Jim and Liz Mazza. These sessions require registration, and you can get those registration links as well as information about the rest of this series by visiting the website at the bottom of this slide. We hope you enjoy this lesson.
Hi everybody, I'm Jim Mazza. Welcome to Tuesday morning, our student skills for surviving and thriving during COVID-19 and beyond. Today is May 5th, and we are going to be working and teaching from our DBT Steps A curriculum. This is the book that we'll be using, and actually Liz will be teaching today about accumulating positives. We are doing this class to help people who are at home going through this situation, who are finding it sometimes difficult to kind of stay at home at this point and trying to deal with some of their emotions that might be elevating a little bit due to the situation and being home in the same spot on the same day for Monday through Sunday. And so what I'd like to do is introduce our class, or our kids. And go ahead, Jackson, you can start.
My name is Jackson. I am 13 and I am in 7th grade.
My name's Grace.
Face the camera here, sweetheart.
My name's Grace. I'm 8 and I'm in 2nd grade. My name's Ashton. I'm 12 and I'm in 6th grade.
All right. And this is going to be a group. Liz, you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Liz, and I'll be teaching you later this morning in just a few minutes.
Great. All right. So one of the things that we do when we're teaching our skills, if you're in the classroom or if you're a teacher that is teaching it online, is we want to get our kids into the spot that we want their minds to be. What do we call that? Putting our minds where we want them to be. Mindfulness. Nice and loud, Grace. Great. All right. And so we're going to do a mindfulness exercise today. That's a participate exercise. And participate is one of our what skills. All right. And when you participate, what I want you to do is to go fully in. And so we're going to demonstrate what this exercise is going to be. It's going to be what's called snap, crackle, and pop. And so everybody stand up, and Mom, why don't you come and join us? I'll explain the directions. All right. And so here's the directions. Ashton, put the pillow back there. You're gonna need both your hands. All right. And so the idea here is that we're gonna stand up in a circle. I am gonna say snap, and when I do that, I'm gonna either point with my right hand, right to the left, or I'm gonna point with my left hand to the right and saying snap. The person I point to is got the crackle spot. So they're going to do this. They're going to go crackle this way to the left or crackle this way to the right. And the person they point to has the pop. And the pop is that they can point to any person in the circle. And the idea here being is you don't know if it's going to come to you or not. So you need to be in the moment, not thinking about the past, not worried about the future, and be a part of the game. So we're going to demonstrate for about, let's do 15 seconds roughly. And we will then come back and we'll start the exercise for you. All right. Ashton took his jacket off. He's going to go all in here. All right. You ready?
So
I'm going to start. Ready? Snap.
Crackle.
Pop.
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 Snap.
Crackle.
Pop.
Snap.
Cross your chest.
Yep, crush.
Crackle.
Pop. Done. All right. So that's how the game's going to go, or that's how the exercise is going to go, right? It is a little bit of a game. And so here's what we're going to do. As in all of our exercises, we have a 3-step process to getting into our mindfulness exercise. So the step 1 with parents at home and kids, go ahead and stand up and kind of get in a circle. All right. Step 2 is we're going to take our nice deep breath. All right. And then step 3, we're going to start. So here we go. Ready?
All right,
Step
everybody,
1.
up.
Step 1, we're going to get into our circle. Oh, I got moved here. All right. Step 2, let's take our breath. And
Just
step
move that way a little bit.
3, begin. I'm gonna start again. Snap.
Crackle.
Snap.
Crackle.
Pop.
Snap.
Crackle.
Pop.
Snap.
No, overhead.
Overhead.
Snap.
Cross your chest.
Crackles this way.
Pop.
Snap.
Crackle.
Snap.
Crackle.
Snap. All right, let's pick up the pace.
Crackle.
Oh, pop.
Snap.
Crackle.
Pop.
Snap. Crackle.
Crackles this way.
Chest.
Pick up the pace.
Crackle.
Snap.
Crackle.
Pop.
Snap. Crackle.
Pop.
All right,
All
and
right.
stop.
I win.
Nice work. All right.
I did.
So with our mindfulness exercises, the idea here is to debrief. What did you think? What was it like for you to play that game exercise? And I want you to describe. Remember what describing is? It's one of our what skills as well. So
Observations with words.
observation with words. Look at you, 1 for 1 already.
Word
That's
of a lot.
awesome, right? So let's describe. So give me some. What did you notice?
It was hard.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Some of you guys mixed up things. Okay, great. So it was challenging to remember the moves.
I didn't like saying pop, so I got.
I know. Grace, what did you notice?
It was really hard to do the movements and to remember which one I'm on, and then I didn't get to say pop very much.
That's okay. What did you notice?
I noticed that you can get very confusing when it speeds up.
Yeah, when it speeds up, and that's why I asked after the first minute. I was like, okay, let's pick it up, right? Because then you really have to pay attention.
And then
be
you
in
pause.
the moment, right? I did, and so I was pausing because I was looking at the camera and trying to make sure everything was set. All right, that's great. All right, so sometimes we have mindfulness exercises that we do that are participate ones, and so that's great. Other times we have mindfulness exercises that have us sitting and breathing. All right, we need to be able to learn both. The key idea is for us to put our minds where we want it to be, and not our minds putting us where we
Don't.
don't want it to be. Awesome, Mom. Time for teaching, accumulating
All right.
positives.
Ooh, this is one of my favorite lessons to teach because we get to talk about how do we get more joy in our lives on this. And so as we go through this today, that's what we're going to be focusing on. This is one of our emotion regulation skills. As we want to bring that up, if you want to bring that next slide up, yep. We're going to talk about how we really focus on using our emotion regulation skills. They're more of our change, problem-solving based skills as compared to our mindfulness skills and some of the distress tolerance skills we talked before that are more on the acceptance side, working on validation. Today we're working on change, and how do we change our emotions by increasing our positive experiences and increasing our joy both in the short term and in the long term. And the place where these skills are going to show up is, do you remember that model of emotions that we taught a few weeks ago, guys? Yes? You remember the model of emotions? Right? And it showed us all those different components of emotions. So I want you to kind of just look at the screen really fast, you three, and look at it. And you see how accumulative positives is showing up in 3 different spots, how it can help treat our vulnerability factors, and it can help to change, we can use it when we're doing prompting events, and in our actions and behaviors is where we can accumulate positives as well. So it's really important because it can fit in all 3 areas, right? When we talked about our please skills several weeks ago, we talked about the please skills as vitamins to help our emotion regulation. So I want you to think about the accumulating positives also like vitamins, right? And that we are going to think about how do we make in the short term and the long term increase the chance that we're going to have more positive experiences. If you were with us in a previous class, and hopefully you guys remember, do you remember how we talked weeks ago that when we're being mindful, we want to be mindful of not only the painful and negative emotions that we have when we're in emotion mind, but we also want to be mindful of what other emotions?
The happy ones.
The happy ones, the more joyful experience ones. But it also is so automatic for us as human beings to keep coming back to the negative, to look back on our day and say what went wrong, when I was sad, when I had a hard time, right? So this is kind of in line with that mindfulness of how do I increase, one, noticing joy, and then actively putting more pleasurable, pleasant, joyful activities into our day. And so today we're going to talk about how do we do pleasant events and activities in the short term and in the long term. So starting with the short term, here's how I want you to think about it. What happens when you make deposits into your bank account on a regular basis?
You get more money in the bank account.
You get more money, and your money grows, right? And then all of a sudden, something breaks. Like your drone breaks, or your skateboard breaks, or your Kindle breaks, or your Xbox, and now you need to go buy a new one. And you go and you have to make a withdrawal from the bank. And what if you've only put in a little money here and there every once in a while? Are you likely to deplete your entire bank?
Yes.
Right? Or even go into the negative. But what happens if you've been putting in money like every day or every week on a consistent basis for a long time?
And it's not just like $10.
Right, and then when you have to go and make that withdrawal, does it deplete your whole account?
Nope.
No. So that's what I want us to think about around accumulating positives. When we make daily deposits, when those painful emotions happen or those difficult situations happen, we're not going to completely deplete our bank. We're going to have enough positives built up that we don't go empty or go into the negative.
So wait till you put more money in.
Right, and so you do that consistently. Yes, Grace?
Just deposit.
Deposit means to put in, right? So I'm putting money in the bank. I'm making a deposit. I'm taking my money and I'm depositing it into my bank account. So we're going to make deposits of joy into our emotion account. How does that sound? Does that make sense?
Nope.
Okay.
And I just want to highlight, Grace, that's a great question. And anybody there at home too, if we use words that you don't understand or you don't think that your child understands, put it in the chat box so that we can kind of clarify what we're trying to say. So we want to try to make this as meaningful as possible to everyone that's watching us.
Yeah, great questions. All right, so let's talk about making positives in the short term, okay? So you guys have a handout in front of you, and we'll kind of show you on here what we're talking about. So in the short term, we're going to make positive deposits every day to put joy in our bank, all right? Grace, do you have any banks in your room? Yeah, you have like a couple different piggy banks.
I broke one before.
You've broken one, right? And then lots of stuff came out maybe, right? Or sometimes when you need to make a deposit, you have to break the bank to get all the money out, right?
Or you take off the cap where you can take the
Right.
money out.
Well, that's another way, right? That's how we can do it. We only need a little bit at a time, and it's not an emergency.
It sounds like breaking into a bank. You break into your piggy bank.
Could be.
The disposable
So-
bank.
So let's talk about the 3 ways that we can make deposits in our bank in the short term. What do I mean by the short term versus long term?
What you want now, what you want most.
Right, exactly. When we talk about the long term, we're going to talk about how do we work on things we want most, kind of in that piece, coming back to our effectiveness skill. Ashton, nice job. And right now, we're going to talk about how do we make deposits every day in the short term. So what do you think that means, to make a deposit every day in the short term? How often do we have to do pleasurable and joyful activities then?
Fairly often.
Fairly often? Like, can you give me more specific?
Daily.
Daily, right? Every day? We want to try to do something positive
I was
every
gonna
day?
say considerably every hour.
Maybe. We might not have time to do that. We've been working on kind of giving you a little bit of a positive activity for 5 minutes every hour, right? As part of
Every
our
45
strategy to
minutes.
stay on task. Okay? All right. So we want to increase more pleasant activities because the more you do things that are fun, what emotion do you get to experience more?
Happiness.
Happy and joy, right? So we're going to do more pleasant activities so we experience more joy and then pay attention to it every day. Okay? And then, but here's the thing. What's the second point down there? What does it say?
Be mindful of positive
Be
experiences.
mindful of positive experience. What do you think that means? What does that mean to be mindful of a positive experience?
Focusing your attention on positive events while they're happening.
So now put that in your own words. And you guys at home, put that in your own words. What does it mean to be mindful of the experience while it is happening?
Being
in the
mindful
moment,
that you're happy.
Being aware.
Right? Paying attention to it.
in the moment, not trying to
Right.
capture the moment.
Right? Right. Oh, I love that, what you just said, Ashton, right? Being mindful and experiencing the moment rather than trying to capture the moment. Who does that sometimes? I do. I'm like the family photographer extraordinaire, and I'm often trying to capture the moment of our joyful experiences.
Usually with a selfie stick.
And when I do that, I miss the moment. So maybe I'm not fully participating, one of our mindfulness skills, in the moment, and I miss it because I'm trying to capture it, right? So that would be me not being as mindful of that experience, right? So, and then the next one says, yeah, Grace.
But if you're trying to capture the moment, and if you do capture the moment, can't you just experience that moment again and again and again and again?
I can experience the memory of that moment, but I might not be fully having the moment, right? Of watching you guys. And actually, watching you guys have joy brings me a lot of joy. So being able to capture it. So it's finding that balance. It's not like taking pictures is all bad, but it is that, like, how do I enjoy it without trying to capture it every time? Okay? And then the last one says, be unmindful of worries. What do you think that means? Be unmindful of worries.
Don't pay attention to your worries.
That's right. Don't pay attention.
Like the wave goes,
Right, to not pay attention to it. To mean, like, don't pay attention like, oh, this is so fun. Oh, man, it's going to be over soon. And then
Don't
I'm
pay
going to be really
attention to
bummed.
that.
because
Right.
then you're gonna miss what you do have.
Right, if
It's
you're
like-
thinking about when it's going to be over, you miss the fun we're having right now. Has it ever happened to you? Like, can you think of a time when that's happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
Birthday party.
Birthday parties, where you're thinking about, oh, when it's going to be over and it's going to be a bummer.
Screen time.
Screen time, when you're so worried, like, oh, I only have this much time and I got to
Yeah.
get as much done, but you're worried about it being over that you forgot to enjoy the playing of it.
I was talking about video games.
I know. So video games,
Oh.
right? Same thing.
Yeah, same thing. Like, you only give us 20 minutes. Only enough for one round.
Right. So you're complaining and you're frustrated the whole time that you're only
Yeah.
getting to play one round, and then it's over, and you forgot to enjoy the one round that you're playing. Trampoline. What do you mean? Say more.
At Duffy.
Oh, because you know you're at the trampoline place for a limited time, so you're thinking, I got to get it all in, but then you kind of miss the joy of being there. What about during COVID-19? Can you think of any examples during COVID-19 of what that might look like if you keep worrying about, this might sound a little crazy, anybody worrying about what happens when it's over? Like, oh, COVID-19 might be over soon, and I'm so focused on that being such a bummer, what might I be missing right now?
Family time?
Family time, the joy of the family time we're having. Any of you guys having that? Right? That you are so focused on when is this going to be over that maybe you're missing some moments right now that you're getting to experience because of COVID-19? Can you guys think of any?
It's like COVID-19 is happening for us, not to us.
I love that perspective. It's happening for us. And what are the things that we can put our attention to about what's happening for us? Like think
Family
about
time.
family time, cornhole, playing cornhole tournaments. I'm
Watching shows.
watching shows. I'm thinking about you guys get to sleep in every day.
Nearly
If
every
you're
day.
so thinking about when is this over, oh, it's gonna be over soon, it's gonna be over soon, and you're worried and you're bummed about that, maybe you're missing the joy of I get to sleep in every day. Or I get to have family time. I don't have to wake up at 7.
I have to wake up at 6.
I could just roll in front of my computer. Right?
Yeah.
So
If only we do that in our rooms.
So that's what we want to do more of, is paying attention to that. So kind of moving on to the next handout, I had you guys look at this ahead of time, and I want you guys to all think about this at home. And that I think it's really important that we think through and intentionally schedule out some pleasurable activities to do every day and to think about doing them, and then paying attention to how we feel before we do it and after we do it, right? So I want you at home to generate some lists of activities that you consider pleasant activities or bring you joy, or things you used to enjoy doing, you're not sure if you would enjoy them right now, and we're just going to generate a list, and I want you guys to generate a list, and we're going to talk about activities that bring you joy in general, and then also what of those activities can we do currently right now during COVID-19? Because this has taken like kind of a bit of reframe for a lot of us to think about, oh, I really like going and hanging out with my friends. Oh, wait, I can't hang out with my friends today because it's COVID-19. So how do I have to get creative and problem solve? How do I connect with my friends during this time?
Zoom.
So Zoom. So let's go through the list that you guys came up with on there, right, for lists of pleasant events. And I'll tell you folks at home, you can get on the internet and do an internet search and search pleasant event activities lists for adults or for teens or for children, and you'll get lots of generated ideas. And I want you guys right now just to think about some of those for you. So what did you guys come up with? What are some of the pleasant activities you identified? Grace, you're going to want to switch to the next page.
Going out with friends, relaxing, going to the movie.
Okay, one at a time. So going out with friends and relaxing. Okay, those are two different ones. Can you go out with friends right now? No.
Well, not
Exactly. And if you do, maybe it's like doing a socially distanced bike ride, right? Or a socially distanced walk. Like that time we were out walking and we saw two people walking together, but they were really far apart. And so what they did, what were they doing? How were they talking to each other?
They were calling each other.
Right, they were on their phones talking to each other with headphones while they walked together, but they were really far apart. Like, I loved that, like, creativity that we saw those people doing. Right, socially distanced bike rides. What are some other pleasant activities of things you like and things that... What'd you say? Soaking in the bathtub. Maybe doing a bath bomb.
Doing the laundry.
Doing the laundry is one of...
Folding the laundry.
Do you enjoy
Let's
that?
talk about folding the laundry is a pleasant activity for you. Why, Jackson?
Because I can listen to music.
Right, because you kind of get to listen to music, and that's really your pleasant activity. So you
Yeah.
pair something you enjoy with something you don't enjoy as much to increase that.
Music.
Okay, so listening to music, right? And we
Taking
can
good care of pets.
taking care of your pets,
Playing
right?
sports.
Playing sports, right? And so your sports, all three of you, your sports have been really impacted by COVID-19. So
Yeah,
they were kind of ended. So how are some of the ways that you're able to still play sports that brings you joy?
We have a basketball hoop in our backyard.
Okay, so basketball hoop in the backyard.
like you have like meetings with your team, or you do it yourself. Like you like run little workouts or something, or like practicing.
Okay, so like team workouts,
You do it with your family.
doing
Having
your
an
workouts
early
with your
cup of
family.
Hot cocoa.
Oh, hot cocoa in the middle of the day.
No, in the morning.
In the morning, that's something that brings you joy. Talking with your friends. Do we have
Some of the people that from the audience talked about playing a meeting with family, with friends, sewing. So maybe like with the
Sewing is
mask,
fun.
right? So
Awesome.
that'd be great.
right,
All right.
sewing masks. Grace, I was thinking about you earlier when you said like soaking in the bath, And it could be also like making a bath bomb,
Yeah.
right? That's a pleasurable, fun activity to do.
I didn't do that.
Oh, there's a whole way we can Google it and get all the materials. So make a bath bomb and then go and use it in the bath, and now you've got 2 pleasurable activities.
Roller
Right there.
skating.
Roller skating
Yeah,
or
I was gonna do
skateboarding,
roller skating, but we can't do that.
Surfing,
surfing,
the internet.
surfing the internet. Well, that's a thing that you enjoy, right? That you don't do a lot of, but we're coming up with activities. I like the sewing and the crafting ideas, if that's something you like to do.
Drinking your shake.
Drinking, stealing mommy shakes. You like to do that as a pleasurable activity, and paying attention to like how much joy that brings you when you think about it.
Baking cookies? Anybody else from
Yeah,
back home?
baking.
Cooking good
I-
food.
I can
Buying
have
myself a
eating.
treat.
Cooking good food.
Eating and cooking and eating good food together.
I didn't put this on here, but going to the store
I
and
do
just trying
both.
on
I
a
like
bunch
to
of dresses.
Okay,
I
trying
eat
on
today.
clothes. Or so if you can't go to the store and try on clothes, where is a place where you could go and try on all different clothes?
My closet.
Bedroom.
Your closet, you can mix and match. Like, hey, let's try these different activities, these different outfits we want to do.
Eating.
So hopefully you
Eating
guys are
is
getting the idea here. I want you to think about, and I want you guys are going to do this also, to think about what joyful, pleasant activities you can schedule every single day.
Eating Mexican.
You know, even if it's just for 15, 20 minutes a day, something that you are intentionally going to do to bring joy. And then what's one thing that we do as a family here to kind of go back and look at our joy?
We do gratefuls at dinner.
Every day we do gratefuls at dinner, and we talk about one thing that we're grateful for or something that brought us joy that we did in the last 24 hours. So we're practicing our mindfulness skills of noticing and paying attention to those things. Okay. Do we have any questions from anybody at home about finding pleasant events and identifying activities that you can do to do some kind of joy every single day? All right, we'll wait and see. Do you guys have any questions about pleasant activities?
Is Mexican food one of them?
For me, it is. Eating good food. Mexican food is definitely a pleasant activity for me. Also, making Mexican food is a pleasant activity for me. Okay. Right. How have you guys been doing on finding a pleasant activity every day to do during COVID-19?
Fairly
Video games!
fairly easy, actually.
Fairly easy? And why
Yeah.
is that?
Well, every night we watch reruns on TV.
Mhm.
Well,
We watch
episodes.
shows.
Right, so we're building in some of those pleasant activities to make sure we've got
And
some
you're
joy
allowing us
every day.
5 minutes to do whatever we want,
Yeah,
which
right.
can include surfing the internet and playing video games.
No.
Right? And so
Well,
we're
yeah, we do 45 minutes of work, and then we get a 5-minute break, and we do of like anything we want to do.
within
We can't
reason.
do that at recess.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah,
things
yeah.
we're building in some even brief moments of joy in your pretty busy school day.
A walk.
Okay, taking walks. All right, so you guys have got the idea of things that we're doing. So that's the short term. Those are things we can do every single day to accumulate positives, make those deposits in the bank of joy, right, of our emotion regulation, put more joy in the bank. So let's talk about now the long term, right? If being
That's on
Do-
the third page.
the next page. If doing a pleasant activity every day helps us with the short term, right, we want to identify some things in the long term now to help build happiness and contentment for our lives, right? So let's talk about how do we do that in the long term. Can you see that next handout there, Ashton and Grace, for how we do it in the long term?
Yes.
Nope, next one. Turn your page, right?
1904.
Yep, 19.4, handout 19.4. So we're going to make changes in our life so that positive events will also occur more often, right? That's one of our goals. So one of the things we talk about is that we want to work towards goals that are based on our values, all right? So you guys know what your values are. I know we talked a little bit about them earlier, but just in general, like what is a value? What does that mean to have a value?
A personal goal for yourself.
A goal for yourself? Uh-huh.
Something you want to be.
Something you want to be, something that's important to you
Like
in
a
your life.
character. Like a character you want to be.
Like a character. So when you look at somebody and you're like, oh, I really like that about that person, right? So what do you like to like parts of their personality,
Yeah, basically.
right?
You want to become what you see yourself as.
Okay, so kind of like when you want to model that. Like I think like one of my values is integrity, right? And I want to live with integrity. And what does that mean to live with integrity?
And shameless.
and being shameless, right? Those are two things that I value. Do any of you guys remember what it means to live with integrity?
Do the right thing even when no one's watching and not always seeking recognition.
Right, so doing the right thing even when no one is watching and not always seeking recognition, right? So that's one of my values that I try to demonstrate every day in my life, but also for you guys, right?
Doesn't it also mean stay honest?
Being honest, exactly. So it's important, and I think especially now when we are in middle school, elementary school, high school, for us to start thinking about what are our values and how do I want to live in line with those? Because what did we say the definition of guilt was last week? Can you guys remember?
Going against your own values.
Shame is when you go against the values of the community. Guilt is when you go against your own values. So how do you know when you're going against your own values if you haven't figured out what your values are yet?
Then you're not.
Right, well, you could be, but then you don't understand why do I feel guilty. And so we're getting really specific here.
And
It's
that's
like,
how you find out one of your values.
is sometimes you can find it out, right? Or you kind of come back to it.
And that's why I feel guilty sometimes.
So we're going to work towards our goals based on our values. So we're going to talk about some goals that we might have based on our values once we identify them. And then another way to build positives in the long term is also to pay attention to your relationships. Okay, so what does it mean to pay attention to your relationships? Especially now during COVID-19, it's a really important time for that. What does that look like? How do we want to pay attention to our relationships?
Keep them healthy.
Keep them healthy.
Stay in touch.
Stay in touch. Right now is a really important time for us to stay in touch with our friends and our family.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
Just make sure that you're still connecting with your friends, family, immediate family, and extended family.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes we've got to push ourselves outside of the box a lot because I know for you guys, like you don't love to talk on the phone or even doing Zoom chats for you guys, you boys, right? That's not something you really like to do. And when you want to stay connected to your friends who you're all of a sudden not seeing every day during school, you've got to push yourself to maybe call them on the phone or do a FaceTime or Zoom chat with them, right? Kind of making conversation when you're not just hanging out like at recess or at school or, going for bike rides, doing activities. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right, so we also want to work on tending to our relationships. So let's look at the next slide, because this is a list of values, right, that are pretty common values for people. So everybody at home, I want you to look at this list here, and I want you to just do a little check off on which of these values, and let's leave this slide up for a little bit here, which of these values do you hold? Right, and we'll kind of go through these. So the first one, and I know you guys have kind of like looked through this and talked about this also, to achieve things. Is that a value of yours, right? To get good grades and work hard, is that one of your values? So that's one of your values, Jackson? Uh-huh. Cleaning your room. All right, we'll get there. You have to achieve the cleaning of your room. Yes, that is a value you are working on. Ashton, is that one of your values? To achieve things, okay? Having fun. Whose value is it to have fun? Yours, right? And we just talked about accumulating positives, right? That's one of the things we want to increase. All right, and then another one is focus on family. Is focusing on family one of your values? Like to see family often, keeping those relationships strong, doing things as a family. Is that a value of yours?
See.
Yes.
Contribute means to give, to provide, to add to, right? So for me, you guys know me, one of my biggest values is family, right? To spend time with family, to strengthen family relationships, to show up for family. And where did this come into our conversation for us last week about how much I like spending time together as a family?
Every single night we're going to either be playing a game or watching a show or doing both. And every single night it'd be a massive dash. Finish cleaning the table, finish cleaning up dinner, so we can do this, and then do that. It's like every single night we do the exact same thing.
So we made a compromise.
Super annoying.
We made a compromise.
Because we were having too much family time. So we had to figure out how to find a middle path on what is the right amount of family time that's not too much, because you also want to have some individual time, right? Mm-hmm. That's a value of ours also. How do we have individual time and family time?
So we have a question from our watchers here. What happens when your mom has a value that's different than yours?
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad.
Well, this is a great example. We were just talking about with my big value is family time, and you guys like family time, but you also really like having fun
Solo
with your
video
friends.
games.
Having fun with your friends time. So how did we resolve that, guys?
We made a truce.
No, but we didn't just make
A
truce.
compromise.
We made a synthesis, but how did that come to be? How did it come to be that we did that?
We
I
spoke
told
up.
you.
You spoke up, right? In a very respectful and kind way, and we sat down around the table and we talked about it, and you described really non-judgmentally about what your thoughts were about family time every single night with us, right?
Every
single night. And you said, and I said, oh, I didn't realize that, because we went from pre-COVID-19 not having a lot of family time, maybe 1 or 2 nights a week,
Nope.
and then went to every night. So that's one of the ways that you can resolve is to have a conversation, and then to think about, like, okay, well, what's valid and what's important? How do we find a synthesis? So I still get family time with you guys, and now you get some independent time having fun doing some of the other things that are part of your values and my values as well. Yeah, Grace.
What if we never thought about it? If you never thought about it.
Then this is why we're thinking about it for the first time. I think a lot of people have never thought about it, especially 8-year-olds probably haven't thought about this. You probably just go along with whatever values mommy tells you.
Yep.
Right? And so part of as we're getting older and becoming teenagers is to start thinking about what our values are. Okay? So let's go through a couple more of these. Is being a part of a group a value of yours?
I didn't mark it, but yes.
Yes, okay. So that would mean like having some close friends, people to do things with, being part of a sports team, right? Do you think that's everybody's value?
No.
No, some people don't want to be a part of a group. They actually kind of feel more comfortable being more independent and taking care of things for themselves, or just having a very small group of 1 or 2 close friends, not big groups. But some people thrive on big groups, right? So you've got to decide if that's your value. What about building character, right? This is kind of similar to that integrity, right? Be honest, stand up for your beliefs, doing the right thing even when it's hard.
I'm trying.
You're trying to do that, but that's something that's a value of yours, to have character and integrity. Anybody else? Mm-hmm. Yes. Your Ashton's like, I think that should be a value of mine. Okay, and for you guys at home, if that's there. And so a couple other ones on here are to be a leader and be healthy.
That's my, for some reason, might be healthy my number 5. I think that should be my number 2.
Number 2.
You rank
Okay,
them?
so that's the next step as we go through this, and you identify what your values are. Jackson, I love how you're so on top of this.
I didn't
Is-
rank them.
that's
Was I
okay.
supposed to rank them?
No, not yet, right? But that's the next step. Once you know what values are important to you, then we're going to go through and we're going to rank them in order of my most important values to my least. And it doesn't mean least being that it doesn't have a lot of importance to you at all. It just means I've identified these 5, and of these 5, here's what's most important to me. So my 1 and 2 are both really close, right? Like integrity is a really important value to me, and family is a really important value to me. So I hold those really tightly together. Yes, Grace. Moderation means doing it in an even amount, not too much and not too little,
Be moderated.
right? A middle amount.
Like, don't
Okay.
have don't have 8 hours of screen time a day, moderated to me.
Exactly. Or family time every single day.
Yeah, moderate
Right,
that
moder-
to
but we don't
once
wanna-
a week.
We don't want to go so little as never or once or twice a week, but maybe we don't need 8. So maybe the middle path is 4 or
3
5
days.
times a week or 3 times a day. That's moderation on that. Okay? Being healthy and learning. Are those values of any of yours? Right,
I like
Jackson?
learning.
Yours is being healthy,
And
right?
learning.
And learning, being physically fit and kind of trying to eat well, take
Yeah.
care of your body. And also, because when we take care of our body, we learned in the police skills a few weeks, that helps to take care of
Feels good.
our vulnerability to emotions. Okay? So take a moment now, and from the ones that you wrote down of values that are important to you, I want you to just kind of rank order them. And if you just want to do the top 3, 1, 2, or 3, go ahead and do that. And you guys too.
pleasurable ones?
No, not the pleasurable activities, the values on the values list. Okay, go
Okay.
ahead and do that. Ashton, here's yours. Rank them a little bit. Okay? Okay, Jackson, you've got yours.
Yeah.
Grace, do you have yours yet?
No.
Give us a thumbs up, or tell us what your highest priority Wise Mind value is at home.
What is strategy?
Strive means to work towards.
So, work towards something.
Work towards
something
moderation.
for others.
Which number is strive for moderation, avoiding excesses, right? Like it could be excess substances or like excess screen time. Excess means too much, right? Going like, I'm going to do screen time in video games every single day, or I'm going to like
3
watch
hours.
YouTube videos every day, right? That may be
I
too
wish.
much. So we want to have moderation. Like, what's a healthy amount, a relative amount?
1
things.
hour per 2 days.
So 1 hour every 2 days of video games, maybe.
Half an hour
Okay.
a day.
So here's your next step. So Jackson, what was your highest priority value?
Let me get it back up.
And then I'm going to ask you two the same question next. Ashley, can you sit up for us, please? Thanks.
Learning.
Learning. Okay. And Ashley, what was your highest priority value?
Achieving.
Achieving things. And Grace, how about yours?
Having fun.
Having fun, right? Because it makes sense. And sometimes we have to make decisions on, we can have different values and everything. And sometimes you're going to get into situations where, well, I really want to achieve things. And it's a really high value of mine to have fun or be a part of a group. So then what happens when maybe I have a big assignment due, like a book report or a science fair project due on Monday, and because I like to have fun and that's a big priority, there's a birthday party or a social event I want to go to. How do I make decisions between those two, right? And so that's where we have to maybe sometimes use some of our other skills of like, what are the pros and cons? Looking at effectiveness of what I want
Yeah,
now
don't do
versus what I
that.
most.
Don't do like, oh, I'll work on this for a little bit, and then I'll play video games, and then I'll go to the party. Like, just finish your thing, so then you don't have to like stay up late or like do a massive dash to like get the time.
Exactly. So kind of prioritizing some of these values and thinking about what do I need to do now versus what I want most, because these are for the long term on this. So here's what I want you all to do now. Now that you've identified your top 1, 2, or 3 values, I want you to ask yourself the question, am I living and doing things in my life that are in line with my values? So if my highest value is family, am I doing things every day that are in line with my values?
Like calling them.
Like calling family, texting them, spending quality family time with my crew here. Am I doing that? And then I could say yes. If I said yes, right, but I might want to move down the list and say, okay, be a leader. That's an important value to me. Am I living my life in line with that? And I say yes in some areas, maybe not so much in others. So what goal do I need to set to help me get closer to living more in line with that value? So with your families at home today or this week, I want you to answer that question. Am I living in line with my values? And if I'm not, what goal or what would I be doing if I was? And how do I set that up as a goal, right? So for me, being a leader, right, and kind of thinking about parenting and how do I help support people in parenting, right? I'm thinking about like, okay, what would help me have a bigger audience of more people that I can help in parenting? Well, I have some ideas of like maybe I need a new Facebook group, or maybe I need to do send out some more information to parents, right? Whatever it might be. Maybe we got to make a couple TikToks, right? That might be it. So I'm going to start thinking about what goals do I want to set that keep me more in line with that value. And that's what I want you all to do at home. And that's what I want you guys to do, right? So hold on one second. Yeah, Grace.
Is it okay if I do a fraction for one of them?
Yes, you can do a fraction. Like it's when you're ranking them, you can, as long as we figure out the order and what's important to you. So can any of you like quickly think of a goal that you would have that's in line with your values?
Get first honors.
So get first honors would be a goal that you'd work on that fits with your value of learning. I love that, right?
And
achieving things, right? So achieving things is one of the first things you said is a big one. So that would be, how do I get first honors? And then we could figure out all the things you need to do in order to get first honors to hit that value of achieving things. Yeah, Jackson.
For me, it would be finishing above a C this year.
Finishing above a C?
In what?
In what?
School.
In school?
Yeah,
Is that
because that's a passing grade.
so that's a passing grade? Oh, I got what you're saying. Because it's COVID-19. Like typically,
I thought you meant like a GPA.
Typically, I'd be going to first honors, but since it's COVID-19, that might be a little hard.
Right, so you're kind of you've shifted some of that value and you're trying to go through and look at it that way, right? And so that, because you're trying to balance some other things with the academics so that you find more joy during this time of COVID-19. And I think it's a really great point that Jackson just made, that during COVID-19, some of our values, some of our priorities might have to shift, right? So first honors and achieving things is an important value of yours. And during COVID-19, because you're also focusing on some other things and recognizing the limitations that we have in our lives right now, you've adjusted your expectations to meet that value. So I think it's a really great point. All right, let's get ready to just look at our take-home points for the day. All right, and I so appreciate that you guys are here. And here's what I just want you to kind of remember a couple things. One, I want you to think about every day doing something positive that can lead to joy every day in your life. And then I want you to really identify your values and prioritize them, and then pick out one goal that relates to each of your values, right? And especially your top 3. And then what steps do you need to take to reach that goal? All right, those are the things we're going to hold up there. Right, and then when I go off the screen in a moment, we'll put that last slide up one more time in just a minute so that you can grab those if you want to look at them again. Actually, can you go back to the camera? We'll do that when we're done. So let's just say goodbye right here to all of you. We're glad that you're here. Please make sure you share this out. If you want further information on this, you can go to our website, www.dbtinschools.com, and you can subscribe to our mailing list. And as we come up with more stories and some resources for you, we'll send them out to you. And then we will be back here on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Seattle time. So come on back here, tell others, have them come. And then also for Parenting Through COVID-19, Jim and I are on live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 7 a.m. on Facebook and Instagram on our DBT in Schools pages. So we hope we'll see you all there. Have a great day. Thank you guys for being an awesome class. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Make sure
Don't forget
hit
to
the little
like.
bell button so you know when new videos come out.
Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the video.
All right, everybody. Have a great day. Notice the positives in your day, and we will see you on Thursday morning. Take care.